Artificial intelligence most certainly presents problems when it comes to our privacy, only because of how powerful it will be at surveillance, whether it be facial recognition, whether it be through almost any kind of biosignature that we can exert onto the world. It will be able to pick up and know that it's you. But more than that, it may be able to pick up on what you're saying, what your motivations are.
In our quest to create computers that interpret the world as we do, we have given them cameras for eyes, microphones for ears, and AI to make sense of what they see and hear. But what are the limits of their perception? With computer vision, AI can skillfully navigate three-dimensional space, allow self-driving cars to see their surroundings, and understand a child's facial expressions.
Good to see you again.
Computer vision can also analyze faces to identify individuals through facial recognition. Facial recognition looks at a face, extracts distinguishing features from it, like the size and position of the eyes, nose, cheekbones, and jaw, and then searches for other images with matching features. This is what Facebook is doing when it asks if you want to tag yourself in a photo, or when Apple's iPhone X unlocks by scanning its owner's face. But what is the balance between convenience, privacy, and security? You might be asking yourself this question the next time you board a plane. Right now, a dozen US international airports are using facial recognition to check in passengers.
The Trump administration says it intends to require biometric face scans on all Americans traveling internationally. Passengers take digital photos at kiosks that will then be compared to passport images. JetBlue says the technology will eliminate boarding passes and speed up travel. Some privacy advocates say is a step too far.
Well, the first question you have to ask is, do we have any privacy right now? Anybody can take a picture of you anywhere, anytime, and you won't even know it. And so if somebody effectively wants to take your privacy, somebody can take it. The question is, do we agree with state-sponsored removal of privacy or corporate-sponsored reduction of privacy? And those are challenges.
In an effort to stem crime and terrorist attacks, countries around the world are using facial recognition technology at high-traffic locations like sports events, concerts, and rail stations.
What we know of as privacy will become a thing of the past, and we're gonna have to get over that in fairly short order. You look at these Orwellian tales, where Big Brother will be watching us, and it's kind of like the state, raining its technology down on us against our will. The irony is that we're actually introducing these technologies into our homes voluntarily. I believe that just a flick of the switch and suddenly your Google Home or your Amazon Echo could be surveilling everything that you and your family is saying.
Other applications of facial analysis might challenge our ideas about what a computer should know about us.
Researchers have developed a form of AI that can identify individuals who are gay or straight. This is insane.
In 2017, a group of researchers at Stanford University claimed to develop an algorithm that could distinguish between gay and straight people based on facial features and expressions. The algorithm looked at images from a popular dating website and was able to determine if men were gay or straight with 81% accuracy and women with 74% accuracy. How much information do our faces really convey about us, and how could that information be used? For instance, could AI determine if someone was a criminal just by looking at their face, with no other background information? One company says it can.
We can analyze thousands of pictures in just a few seconds from any source like surveillance camera. In this case, all of them were selected as burglars. Now we can see that we have 90% accuracy.
Faceception, based in Tel Aviv, Israel, predicts personality traits based on a facial image alone. No databases, just your face.
You all the time look at people and think sympathetic, not sympathetic, sexy, not sexy. While machines, they don't care about what is your race, gender, political opinion, and so on. And our vision is to teach machines to understand humans through a single piece of personal information, an image of a face.
Faceception reads a face and assigns it a probability of being a specific type of criminal. Authorities can then interrogate suspects accordingly. This is already being used by the Israeli Defense Forces and Homeland Security in the US. Unlike facial recognition, which matches faces to databases, Faceception isn't tied to any database. It's not looking to match a face with a criminal record. It's just looking at a face and determining how suspicious it looks based on previous data.
It's been an age-old idea that there's a criminal facial type. The danger in that is that, of course, you have no control over your bone structure or your facial structure. And so it's just another form of stereotyping.
It's highly controversial. What this makes people think of is this famous sci-fi movie, Minority Report, where people can predict who's going to commit a crime, and therefore people are arrested before they have committed a crime.
I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks.
No, I didn't do anything.
What do we want to use AI for? Indeed, it should be to augment the ability of humans to solve problems and to be more prosperous and to be healthy. That has to be its purpose.
Technology is morally neutral. Fire can be used to warm your homes in the winter, and it can be used for arson. So to me, the question is, what can we do now to make sure that AI enables humanity to flourish rather than flounder? Part of what we have to do is transform today's buggy and hackable computers into robust AI systems that we can really trust. Because if we can't even do that, then all this awesome tech we built can malfunction and harm us or be hacked and be turned against us.
Every new technology brings both perils and promise. One of the greatest emerging promises of AI is the development of new ways to treat and perhaps eradicate disease, giving us a chance at longer, healthier lives. Watson on Jeopardy was a major breakthrough in helping computers begin to understand language. This underlying technology that won a game show was retooled into capabilities that can be used across industries, including healthcare. Watson for Drug Discovery processes massive amounts of medical literature along with other data to help researchers pursue breakthroughs, like finding new drugs to treat some of our most vexing diseases.
This is my favorite book, actually by a long shot. It was my first exposure to things like cyberspace, cyberpunk, the singularity and artificial intelligence. I've always been a huge reader of science fiction. I don't think it's a great leap to think that the reason I'm in the industry I'm in is because I was always fascinated by technology and how it would affect society. It's part and parcel of who I am. The opening line is, "The sky above the port was the color of television tuned to a dead channel." And I remember reading that going, whoa. Channel dead A2 tuned, comma, television of color, the was port, the above sky, the. That's part of my PD assessment right there.
Okay, rest your hands on your thighs and just say the months of the year backwards.
December, November, October. Every 3 months, Connie checks to see how my Parkinson's is progressing.
Put your hands out in front of you and turn back and forth.
Most people get diagnosed in their 60s and 70s. I was diagnosed in my 50s.
Okay, that looks good. And this side? That's clearly hard to keep going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel like your body's letting you down? You just sort of stare at it going, like, why are you shaking?
And come down off the bench and then walk to the wall.
Parkinson's disease is predominantly thought of as a movement disorder caused by the degeneration of a very specific set of cells within the brain that are involved in the sort of generation of smooth and controlled movement.
Now with this hand, fast wide taps with your index finger.
You start to get a tremor, often in the hands, slowness of movement, depression and anxiety. And then unfortunately, there's no cure.
It's a pretty slow-moving disease, which is one of the reasons it's hard to do research on it.
We have to follow people a long time in clinical trials to be able to really see whether or not we're having an impact on the outcome.
And then unfortunately, the only treatment that we have that we give to patients is from the 1960s. It's older than Jonathan.
It's difficult, but you can either accept it passively or you can try to push back. And I wanted to push back. I've spent my career helping people solve problems by applying technology. So what I did came naturally to me. It was the way I'd been working for the last 30 years. Have a problem, how do you fix it? If you can't fix it with people or process, maybe you can fix it with technology. That's when I broached the subject with Connie and her colleagues, and I said, have you heard about Watson?
Jonathan said, there's this thing at IBM. You might have heard of it. It's called IBM Watson. We're interested in seeing if there's a way that it can be used in Parkinson's disease research. Do you have any ideas?
I had really no relationship to artificial intelligence personally, which is probably why I was so flummoxed when Jonathan first showed me this.
I saw in it its ability to accelerate research, its ability to make connections and read through masses of material at great speeds. You know, I'm taking medicine that's as old as me. So I thought Watson would be a really good complement or supplement to the work that the researchers were doing.
We wanted to identify drugs which are already on the market for certain diseases that we might actually be able to use to treat Parkinson's disease. The tricky part of this drug repurposing, though, is it's not humanly possible to read all of the literature on all of these drugs, and that's where artificial intelligence can really help. Watson is able to see connections that we are missing.
Medical journals publish over 500,000 papers each year. No doctor or researcher could ever read all the material generated. But Watson for Drug Discovery can help researchers quickly find new connections in massive volumes of medical and drug data to help them answer questions like, is there a drug that already exists that could be used in new ways to treat Parkinson's? After analyzing 28 million medical reports in less than 15 minutes, Watson made connections to 3,848 drugs that might be useful in treating Parkinson's.
In this case, it generated a ranked list, but now we have to start deciding how are we going to prioritize the drugs on this list.
Many of the high-ranking drugs came from certain classes of medication that were already of interest for Parkinson's disease, but there were also some other drugs in there that we would have never thought of, which is the exciting part. Taking these new ideas that people haven't thought of before and testing those.
One of the drugs we said, well, why haven't we ever thought that this may help Parkinson's disease? This part of the project gets really exciting because we're doing something completely novel at this stage that we would never have been doing without Watson having pointed us in that direction.
Watson for Drug Discovery does some things that humans can't do much better, and there's things that it cannot do that humans do.
When we got these new drugs that we wanted to test, I met with Jonathan and told him, you know, this is what we're doing and we're excited, and he was thrilled. He's so invested in this because he sees the wider implications. This is about everybody with Parkinson's, not just himself. But now we need to test these predictions.
Present course and speed, I don't think anything's going to be able to be done about Parkinson's in my lifetime. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to still push at it. And eventually something will pop. You just have to be persistent.
It affected my grandmother, affected my mom, affects me. I want to stop it here.
Parkinson's disease remains without a cure, but researchers using AI have the chance to change the scope and speed at which drugs are discovered.
You really start to see that AI is opening up a whole new way of doing research. I just don't think it would actually be possible humanly to do it. without artificial intelligence.
This is just the beginning of AI medical applications.
AI systems are starting to be able to make predictions from DNA, for example, about your susceptibility to certain types of cancer or the efficacy of a certain drug for you as opposed to another patient. That could really be the beginning of a revolution in medicine.
I'm quite optimistic that if we amplify our intelligence with machine intelligence, we can greatly accelerate the discovery of cures.
Take your finger and touch your nose and go back and forth. My name is Connie Maris. I'm a neurologist at the Toronto Western Hospital and specialize in movement disorders, which means that most of my patients have Parkinson's disease.
I went for an assessment and they decided that they thought that I had Parkinson's. You feel like your body's letting you down.
IBM did come to us about a project that they had done with an institution in the United States. And it became obvious to me as we started working with Watson that Watson could process an absolutely enormous amount of information in a very short space of time.
You can either accept it passively or you can try to push back. And I wanted to push back.
AI has made incredible strides in its ability to process information, recognize patterns, learn, reason, and perhaps even think.
The purpose of legislation is not to define morality or teach ethics.
For now, no AI comes close to the versatility of the human mind. Should AI one day achieve a level of intelligence that rivals our own, it will reach a stage called artificial general intelligence. What might that mean for our world?
You and I, we are a general intelligence. We can do a lot of different things and in a lot of different contexts. And we do not have any computer even remotely close to being able to do that. They're extremely narrow in terms of what they can do. They can either play chess or they can play Go.
Deep Blue has responded instantly with Bishop F1 to D3.
This is the ultimate goal, however, to create what's called an artificial general intelligence, or an AGI. And that will be actually a very profound thing, because now we're dealing with a single entity, or even a mind, if you will, that can in fact start to become super adaptable.
Artificial general intelligence, that's when a lot of times people call the singularity, when AI is going to be as smart as humans, or even smarter. And then the singularity is what a lot of people also fear, that intelligence gets so smart that it can surpass us and surpass our own control.
A singularity is simply an event beyond which you can't predict anything. That's an apt name also for the intelligence explosion, where in short order, machines might be not just a little bit smarter than us, but way more capable. What's an intelligence explosion? In physics, an explosion is any phenomena where you get repeated doubling of some quantity over and over and over again. So something small rapidly gets very big. If what's happening is that the energy release is doubled, that's a bomb explosion. If what's happening is that the population keeps doubling, that's a population explosion. And if what's happening is that the intelligence keeps doubling, that's an intelligence explosion.
This is a data cell from the data cell drive.
If each iteration of your computer can design something which is a certain factor better than the predecessor, you'll keep doubling, doubling, doubling. If this computer is better than us at everything, including AI programming, it can quickly figure out ways of rewriting its software to be much better. And then it can do that many, many times, which might make it not just a little bit better than us, but already a lot better than us.
I've often thought that artificial superintelligence will probably not be built by a human or a human team. It would not surprise me if in short order we have machines that are teaching other machines and creating them in ways that we would not have been able to.
The turning point in the history of the human race would be the creation of something that we might call human-level AI. It would be comparable to the arrival of a superior alien civilization on Earth. But AI is not an alien species. It's something that we design, and in fact, we have to make very sure that it isn't an alien species with its own objectives that are not aligned with ours, or like an ex machina. What is clear is that the robots were designed in such a way that the designers had no control over the objectives.
Ava, I said stop.
Hollywood movies make us worry about the wrong thing. We shouldn't worry about malice, but competence and misaligned goals. So if I'm in charge of building a hydroelectric dam for green energy, and there's an anthill in the middle, too bad for the ants. That does not mean I'm an evil ant hater who killed the ants just out of spite. It just meant that my goals weren't aligned with those of the ants. Too bad for the ants, and we have to never put humans in the situation of those ants.
When you're dealing with something which is more intelligent than humans, you can't anticipate all the ways that it might come up with a plan that you're not happy with. If you look at WALL-E, everyone sits around on jet-powered barca lounges, sipping giant super gulps. That's not a future that we want either, which seems to mean that machines should leave us to try and fail rather than having everything handed to us on a platter.
We don't necessarily have to fear being in the presence of more intelligent beings, because we've all experienced that as kids. Mommy and daddy were smarter than us. But that worked out okay because their goals were aligned with our goals. And if we actually ever do, as a society, create machines that are smarter than us, we have to first figure out how to make sure that they can understand our goals, adopt them, and retain them.
Here you go, Levi. It is a profound human quest to create these technologies. Put your hands in front of you. I think we do it to understand ourselves. I think we do this because we believe it will help create a better society. I think we do it because we believe that it's going to help us to become the people who we aspire to be.
What makes me the most excited about AI is the opportunity to create a better future. I'm hopeful that if we really plan and work hard for it, we can use this ever more powerful technology to create a future that's more inspiring than our ancestors even dreamt of.
Thanks for your attention.
Artificial intelligence is a tool. Can I be more successful professionally, or does it help me be a better artist or a better physician? As a scientist, can I perform discovery faster? Those are good outcomes, and that should be the right measure of what AI is good for. I think from a societal perspective, we're going to see an evolution in that you'll be less utopian or dystopian. The debate is always being framed as the utopia is technology will do all the work for us, and the dystopia is the overlords over us and we will lose all human agency. But what I tell people is that it's a choice and that we should not fall into technological determinism. Technology is simply a tool to achieve the goals. We need to decide how we want to use technology to solve problems for us.
Five years ago, I think Noam had like one slide saying, what would be the next cool thing for IBM to do? Why don't we develop something that debates?
Which sounded, to be frank, impossible.
I think I wanted to do something that will make a difference.
And then gradually it grew.
This is a very non-standard experience. Sometimes, discussing moral and ethical issues and discussing highly controversial issues.
So without further ado, I give you IBM Debater. Please enjoy the show.
Greetings, Haya. So nice to meet again. I hope that today I will do better than the last time I faced your convincing arguments. I believe that we should legalize sports betting. The purpose of legislation is not to define morality or teach ethics.
I think that technology does and can continue to improve life.